The Self-Helpful Podcast is brought to you by Ziglar, your premier source for equipping life and leadership coaches. Visit Ziglar.com and let them inspire your true coaching performance. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining me as I talk with today's most important influencers, guides, and change makers to uncover what truly drives them and extract the big takeaway from their personal journey and their greatest wisdom. I'm your host, Kevin Miller, and this is Self-Helpful. In this episode, we continue our talk on a man's place. And I titled the show, Are We Having Fun Yet? How to Enjoy Life and Not Merely Survive It. My catalyst, again, is Connor Beaton. He is the founder of ManTalks, an international organization focused on men's wellness, success, and fulfillment. He's author of Men's Work, a practical guide to face your darkness, end self-sabotage, and find freedom. And he's host of the ManTalks podcast. Right now, though, I'm with Dr. Randy James. Randy is truly my best friend. We've walked through life together for a good decade and a half. And we start off discussing what's the point? As men, you could say as people, but obviously we're coming at it from a man's standpoint. But what's the point? When do we leave childhood and school and say, okay, I'm done having any fun and enjoying and experiencing this life and growing and really having adventures? Now I'll just be responsible and devote the rest of my days to the grind of life. I mean, it sounds a little exaggerated, fair enough, but are we living lives that our kids or young people would be inspired to go pursue, to grow towards? I mean, no wonder kids are leaving home very late these days. What's the motivation for them? I mean, the point isn't just to have fun necessarily, but I'd argue that pursuing great purpose and fulfillment eclipses mere fun. I mean, should we truly enjoy our lives, though? Is that important? Solomon in the Bible said, and I'll paraphrase, I tried it all variations of life, and it's all vanity. Ultimately, nothing is better for a man, a human, than that he or they should eat and drink, and that his soul should enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw was from the hand of God. So Randy and I have a really candid talk about work and family and responsibility and finding true joy and tending to our hearts and souls as men and just enjoying life. This message is, I feel, relevant for all. Well, Randy, I wanted you doing this. You're my best friend. I mean, we've been doing life together for a long time and sharing offices. And I think a gift too is that we literally did business together. So we've done business partnership together, which that we've said before, you know, if there's a little romance, man, we got a marriage happening here. And so I wanted you here to do this and talk about men, because we've walked through so much together. I mean, this morning, we're with our buddy Todd. One of the guys couldn't make it, and doing our Friday morning gathering, talking about the real stuff. That is rare. That's what Connor talked about a lot. And you know, after going through his book and his message, it did bring me back to going, in general, I mean, we as guys, if we get together to look around each other, go, are we having fun? Is this, not that, maybe that's a bad word. How would you say it? But are we enjoying life?
Right. Or is this all there is? Or even driving some of the kids on the way to school this morning, why are you going to school? Why I'm with you, like in the middle of the potential drudgery of the day to day. And I would say, well, what do you mean by fun? What does
it's fair? This is why I stopped at fun. Maybe fun is not, but are we having joy? Gosh. And I mean, to get spiritual, it's one of my favorite ways of playing the mind game around that. So if we're made in the image of God, you know, to whatever level people hearing this believe that, but as a father, so we have kids, you have kids, I have kids. Would you look at your kid and say, you know what, today, I want you just to do chores all day today. I don't care if you have no joy in the day, just get stuff done that needs to be done, go to sleep, wake up and do it again.
Never.
Not
even when we do wind up with, hey, you get this thing done. There's a moment like that. I would never couch it in the tone or the way of saying, you know what, sometimes you just got to produce. So let's wake up, don't have any sense of bigger picture, bigger purpose, bigger whatever so I would go back around to you to say, could that be fun? I'm going to maintain that it could be fun to do my chores if there's a potential sense of the reason for the chores. And so in that sense, I might look at a son and say, okay, in the bigger scheme of things, you want to be becoming the kind of guy that maybe you go to college, maybe not, but a scholarship will help you. Can you please write the essay? So that's going on right now, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's right now. There's a website you have to click open, and you have to click in the box, and you have to actually type some words in that box that are going to mean something. And he would see it as a chore and certainly not fun. But would I...
So you as his father, though, regardless of the thing, what do you hope to see in his spirit?
Gosh, yeah. I hope that in this 17-year-old spirit, there is, gosh, Kevin, I clean the toilet every week. Not once have I ever thought of the spirit of cleaning the toilet.
So grateful I get to clean the toilet.
Right.
Which you could.
I could.
It's a third world problem to do,
Yeah, I'm glad to have a toilet.
People would be thrilled to have a toilet.
Yeah, they would love to clean it.
Or to have a toilet you've got a nice house.
Yeah. And just cleaning any part of the nice house is never fun. So we're back to let me so on your kid though, my kid, I want to see joy. I want for them joy. I want fulfillment. I want peace. And if I see my kid with a scowl all day long, or tears, or banging their head against the wall, there's some people who have kids, who are literally cutting themselves with, cutting. You're a doc, you know that. And we would be grieved to death. So if I think about this, and I didn't really mean to go on a spiritual nature, but I'm just trying to make a perspective, point of a perspective, regardless of what you think about, God or spirituality. But in me believing in a heavenly Father, caring,
a God,
loving Father,
does whatever you think, want to look down and see me with a constant scowl, in tears, cutting myself, or getting drunk every night, or medicating, and just not having fun at all? How does that fit? What kind of doctrine is that? I think we would look at that and go, well, no, that can't make sense. I'm making the case that it doesn't seem to make sense. So here we are as guys, and as Connor's talking through his book and about the problem with guys, it makes you step back and go, yeah, what are we doing? Now, not to make it all about just fun and fancy free, but are we just a mule? Period. Is that the point? You have some fun as a kid. You get to have recess. You get to draw. You get to do some fun things there. You get to go to school. Maybe you enjoy that. You went to college and pursued some things that you were interested in, and played Frisbee when you weren't doing that, and went on traveling stuff and had fun. And at some point go, okay, fun's over, dude. That's that portion of life. You got to actually have some fun. Now that's done.
Yeah.
Now
get to work.
You're an indentured servant to the planet.
Be an adult.
And just go and grudgingly go. How do we make a case for that? And yet that is so much of what we have bought into. And I feel like what Connor's saying from a man's standpoint, this is a men's focus. So I'm not going to be ashamed of talking to that space of going, and that's what you do. You're a tool, like we joked about this morning. You're just a tool to get things done. And if you want to have some fun, if you can squeak in an hour at the end of the day and watch some sports and have a beer, and that's nice for you, good for you. But otherwise, man, you just get stuff done.
Do you feel like do you feel like you've ever been in kind of that far extreme place in your own life?
Of just being a tool?
Of being a tool.
Yeah. I think
like when?
Man, that's part of my story of, I don't know how many years ago. It's probably around when I told you finally, dude, I'm wigging out. Prescribe me something, which happened. So once in my life, I've been on what was it? Like a Zoloft type thing?
Zoloft. Yeah.
It didn't help much. But the point what did help is me coming to that point of going,
realizing
I'm wigging out
yeah.
and something's got to change. And it was there of feeding my own self-image of thinking, I got to be Superman. I'm God. I got to fix everything. I got to do everything. There's no limits. I've got to be 100% capable. That's who I am. And I realized this is not fun. I'm bitter. I'm doing it with a bitter heart.
Huh. That's also when you worked with me.
That was the biggest problem. It was working with you. Well, and even there, I mean, there was fulfillment in what we were doing. I mean, fulfillment in work, fulfillment in kids. There wasn't a lack of that, but it was, I don't know if we should name names. Well, it's not like it's a friend of ours, a couple friends of ours that used to invite me to things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go do this event.
Go do a thing. And you would always say no.
Oh,
gosh, man, don't you guys ever work? Like, okay.
And then I literally saw their pictures back when I would pay attention to some social media. I don't know where or maybe on Facebook, or of them having fun with their families and the kids laughing and they're out on the lake or something. And I thought, yeah, I don't play anymore. I don't. And again, yeah, I'm cautious like you of play and fun, but to some degree, kind of like what we talk about, would our Heavenly Father have us be out here and go, yeah, I made all these mountains. I know it speaks to your soul, but you don't have time for that. Right, we're going to stay in the walls, close the curtains, and Randy, take care of the next patient.
Right.
How does that make sense? What is it there for? The doctrine doesn't line up.
I was just going to say, I honestly don't. I mean, we can talk about what we perceived our theology or doctrine as when we were, 16, 26, 36 young men, and going through those early years. Our memory is fuzzy about that, but in the last 20 years, I feel, I guess, blessed maybe to say that the doctrine of work has shifted. That, and I don't know, maybe I'm a testimony to what he wrote in the book about as to become, and that's where I would tell the story today of saying, gosh, I really, really have worked hard to feel like I get to work.
Okay.
I get to be a father. We talked about it this morning. I get to sit in the stands and hear my son's names called one right after the other on the starting lineup. And there's a moment of, is that fun? I would call that a kind of fun, a kind of specialness, a kind of something. And I get to most days wrap up a patient hour and almost walk out and say, oh, that was kind of fun.
So you're taking it a direction. We're going to play with both sides of fun then, because you're taking it of bringing it into the tasks. So there are tasks to do. Can we have fun in that? Can we have gratitude in that? Now, we go along down the road, and we won't do it now, but on work, finding work that is truly fulfilling. You have work that you wake up curious. We're going to do a series on curiosity soon. Maybe I'll have you do that with me too. That what a gift. You found something you were innately curious about. The human condition, in essence. Yeah. Well, I guess I'd say that for both of us.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And you get up and you're reading books and looking at things to literally help somebody with their physical and mental health. Well, I guess I am too. We're just doing it a different way.
Well, no, it is. We are looking at, and that word aspect or perspective, I'm looking at it through this perspective. You're looking at it through that perspective. The it being the problem, not even a problem, just the human condition, the human story, the human reality, the human, and we're back to the, uber first principles of why did God create us and what is this all about? We're curious, and in a sense, we're having fun right now.
That's true. Okay. That's true. So you're bringing in amongst the chores and the duties and the roles, responsibilities you're bringing in. Can we have fun? Can we have gratitude in that? I think we can and we should. Now, some people are out there in a job for survival, and man, it's hard to do that in there. Okay. Well, because what I'm doing also is looking over here, because we also have fun, literally. And it's a Sunday and you're saying, let's go out and play Frisbee or you're going skiing or 2 weeks ago, you and I went and had dinner with, I don't know, 8 or 9 guys, in a mountain town, had dinner and wine and had fun and went back and talked and went to sleep and got up at.
Well, we also went out and stared at the sky. That was the best vision, my best vision of the Milky Way, 4 or 5 shooting stars.
Well, we should tell a story. So we literally went with this group of guys. It's kind of, I call it our adventure group of guys. And this is, if anybody's been to Breckenridge, you may drive over, depending on which direction you're coming from, Hoosier Pass. So this guy has a cabin literally on
11,500 feet.
So we walked up. I don't know if we were above tree line. I don't think we were quite above tree line.
Right at tree line. Yeah.
And looked at the Milky Way and shooting stars. It was the end of that. What was it called?
Pleiades
something
or
meteor
shower. Yeah.
That was awesome.
It was special.
And the next morning went and hiked 4 14ers, which is the 14,000 foot peaks. We had fun. And on that aspect, along with, can I have joy, gratitude, fulfillment in the chores, in the cleaning the toilet or doing the work? Can I also literally go play, literally go have fun? Because I'm at that point, just like with my kids, at some point I want to go, guys, there's a big world out there. Go have fun, go play, ride your bikes, go climb a tree, go do whatever that is that not relevant for me? Is there a time when we should not do that anymore? I want to be 90 years old and whistling through the woods and having joy and play and fun.
In fact, medically speaking and looking at it through my lens, and in fact, just this morning, trying to write down these thoughts and really hone in your thoughts. And there's this theme of the words, restore, renew, recuperate, and a lot of what we do in sleep and maybe in Sabbath or sabbatical. And so I'm coming to the word maybe I just said it, but we recreate when we do recreation. Recreation, the word itself comes from recreate what? Well, recreate fun, game, play like a kid, like you were a kid. Recreation is in fact a part of creating a weller self. And I think that ought to be part of our job. If my job, one of my jobs is to produce Randy James, age next year, 56. And so right now I'm producing that guy. And if I have no ingredient in there of recreation, then I think I'll be less of who I could have been. So my work in creating a man of 56 who's got teenage kids and a job and this and that and the other and whatever, that if recreation is not an ingredient, a spice in there, then I'm less than I could have would have been, which is I was going to say it's almost an intoxicating idea. Like, okay, like not only I get to, but and I would say the doctrine is I'm kind of commanded to put the spice of my life in there that I think is spicy, sweet, salty, whatever, and fun and life-giving and building. And I'm one of the fortunate ones that gets to have a little bit of that over here in work sometimes. And even to have teenagers that it's kind of in there sometimes too. And it's not all burden or bad or those kind of things, that it's not all drudgery. And I think you and I are both filled with gratitude at that, but we would also look back and say we've worked intentionally, thought about, leaning into it a lot over the years. And part of what we even worked on together was, gosh, how can we create a system inviting people into this, not only for less healthcare cost or a better blood pressure, cholesterol, whatever, but because life then is better, truer, maybe, and aiming at a true life. And so that's where my mind goes.
Well, okay, so you've got me thinking back on the Ziegler Wheel of Life, which is in essence what
that has fun, recreation?
It has well, I'm going to talk, that's my point. That's my point. So you go along, you got spiritual and relationships and health and wellness and money and career and these spokes in there. And then you have the personal spoke. So I go through this with every guest. I think we have at some point did that with you long ago. And the personal one that's what I'm asking. What do you do just for you? What is that inspires you? And then I've been cashing it in essence, I'm asking from a non-productive standpoint, because you could say, what do I do for you? What do you do for you?
I brush my teeth.
Well, yeah. Well, and you could say, gosh, I get great fulfillment out of my work. Okay. I know, but I'm coming over here, and it's interesting. For some reason, when you were talking, I saw a Western recently. I can't pull it up, but it had a Native American tribe. So they're out here, by a hillside, and they've got their teepees up, and they've hunted and they've warred or they whatever. And then it showed a bunch of them, grown-ups and everything. And they were playing they had some sticks and a ball or something like that. And they're doing that. I think, when did we get away with that? It seems like that was just, these are natives. It was kind of a proxy thing that of course you play a little bit. And I'm thinking about my kids, taking them through the Ziegler wheel of life as they're going after work and school and whatever, and say, man, this personal spot, you're not supposed to get rid of that. What is it that you enjoy doing and playing at that you don't ever need to get rid of that like you said, you need to do that. That's part of your requirement. Did you say requirement? You said something like that.
Duty, command. What about this question that, again, through my lens on the medical side, I'll ask people, okay, we just talked about a feedback loop over the past few weeks about your nutrition or your exercise or name it. How did you brush your teeth? Did you do these body care oriented things, which largely, simplistically might be encompassed by how is your nutrition? How is your sleep? How is your exercise? And the fourth one there, have you taken care of business, work? But then I'll say, well, okay, how did you take care of your soul outside of nutrition, exercise, sleep, and work? You can't say, oh, I took my vitamins. How did you intentionally, conscientiously feed your mind, body, soul, spirit without those things? And most people will just stare at me and go, pfft.
Well, and my fear was the propensity to come back with some, I'm poking at it, but some righteous thing. I did my journal and I meditated and I went, well, I'm trying to meditate too. That's not fun. Not for me. Maybe for somebody it is. I don't know. You're going to say fasting or something like that. That's not fun. It's not fun for me. And looking at, okay, so what you got me thinking of too, we have work. So we could, again, spend the whole time talking about trying to find joy, fulfillment, peace, purpose in our work. I mean, that's huge. You talked about being fortunate. I would wish everybody would be that. I would like to make the case that God would want everybody to be that fortunate to find work that they, find joy in. Okay. But anyways, the duties, I'm still going to set those off. The duties, the roles, the things that we, need to get done as, in this, as men, as people, we all have those. Okay. Over here, no, I'm enamored with you talking about recreation, to recreate. I may bring that in to this personal thing of what do you do for recreation? That's a great word that I should be using in that, could be using in that, to recreate yourself, to inspire yourself, to fill yourself. Because what I feel like is we have hijacked that or substituted that with entertainment.
Kevin, I was just going to say, if you ask your kids that, they'll say, can I go play my video? My kids will say, what I'd really like to do is play video games. And now you and I are going to parse this word out. Is that recreation or is that entertainment? Or watch TV or something?
Our kids would argue and say, well, how is it different?
And me too. Even told my wife the other day saying, okay, gosh, it is now, I perceive going out and playing with my kids. I'm ashamed to say this. I perceive that sometimes as work.
Yeah.
And we're bouncing on the trampoline playing Gaga ball. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, 20 more minutes. We're going to do this for 20 more minutes. Which
is the great thing about getting older kids that can go ski with you or something fun. That we do enjoy.
But even then,
it's still
the work of skiing is true. Like, oh my gosh,
that's way true.
The schlep of my body, my mind, my soul, and my ski gear to the mountain to do all that. And when we talked about surfing, right? Like surfing is like 5 hours of work for 42 seconds of fun.
Yeah, especially if you're new at it like this. Yeah, totally.
And it's mysterious where somebody the other day said, oh my gosh, I had such a great, like John, who's out hunting right now. And he's like, and he'll come back and say, oh, I froze my tail off. I starved to death and I didn't even get an elk. And it was so much fun. And we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And
can you imagine bringing a 10-year-old out there to do that?
No. Oh, but so come back then, because you were tracking right with me on recreate as not as opposed to, because I like entertainment. I mean, I love it.
It is
tonight's
fun.
Friday.
It's Friday night.
I'm
already anticipating
a glass of wine or two and a show.
Nice meal.
And that. So that too, but I'm afraid that that's taken place of recreation. We spectate. I don't want to diss anybody. You love sports. You guys spectate sports a lot. But when do we participate?
Well, through on the Friday night, there's a theme there because I think this will hit a lot of people too. I say this every day. Okay, to patient Kevin, I get it. Friday night comes along. You've had a really hard week. You've been working hard, whatever, and you're looking forward to a great movie, great meal, great bowl of ice cream, great bottle of wine. That would be great. But Kevin, that is another reward. That is relief.
I knew you were going to go there. Yeah, relief. Exactly.
It's not restoration
or renewal
or recreation.
Gosh, I'm thinking about all the recalibrate,
recuperate. There's so many of it. It doesn't build resilience.
So God bless relief. Tonight's Friday.
God bless relief.
Tonight,
sometimes
we're not going to finish. I'm not going to go home and recreate probably. I'm going to get some relief. Tomorrow's Saturday.
Can I tell you what I'm doing?
Yeah.
I think I told you this morning. For the first time, this will be our very first time to leave all three kids alone by themselves. And we're going to Frisco.
Yeah,
and just do whatever.
You and your wife are going to, just the two of you, you're going to go and recreate and relax and renew.
That is the point. Less about line up a list of things to do and see and whatever, and just follow our noses and do those things.
Yeah.
And that, in fact, even now, I want to tell her, hey, let's have this mindset of renew relationship.
I want to hit on this on a different angle. You as a doc, I want to hit your role as a doc. As a friend, you are a better friend. I mean, this sounds like folks got to believe me. I'm not just trying to make the point. It's just literal. You are a better friend to me when you go skiing. You are a better friend to me when you go away and play soccer. You with a league or whatever.
Right.
You are a better friend to me. You are not as good a friend to me when you have been putting in 12-hour days.
Right.
You're a better friend to me today. Gosh, we'll be literal. You're a better friend to me today than you used to be back when you were scurrying from one patient room to the next. Boom, 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 boom. You weren't available. You didn't have as much joy in you. So I selfishly want you to go do the things that fill you up. That's right. Makes you a better. And I would want you as a doc, if I have a brain surgeon, I'd rather have one that just got back from
he's rested, renewed, and sharp
and excited about life than the one
eager to come back to brain surgery.
Yeah. Eager to come back. Yeah, exactly. I should have pulled his book out. Dr. Lee Warren. He's a neurosurgeon. We've had him on the show twice. We just had him on recently, and he lives now in Nebraska on 300 acres with the Platte River running through. That's what he goes home to. And I see the pictures of his dogs, and he texts me about these great things. That's the dude I want then sitting down to work on my brain.
Yeah.
Not the guy who hasn't had any sleep, who's in drudgery, doing it, churning it out, waiting to retire.
Who's world famous, who has the biggest job, who all of those things.
Yeah.
Just yesterday, two things. Patient yesterday, whose parent had glioblastoma, I referred his book to her. And secondly, just this morning, so our friend John he texted me from the trailhead. He arrived early this morning and said, hey, just want to thank you. It's great to work with you. That it creates this opportunity that I get to go bow hunting.
Yeah.
And I said, it just so happens I just thought of you as I got, to work and we joke all the time about the success or not success of harvesting an elk. And I said, the prayer for you is not the elk. Mm-hmm. My prayer for you is, and I texted it to him, your joy, your peace, your contentment in the mountains, mm-hmm. Elk meat or not, so that when you return, you are a better John than you would have been, to the glory of God, to the embetterment of the kingdom of God, and to the betterment of True Life Medicine. Like him hunting. So he was thanking me for this job. Yeah. And I'm like, the synergism there and almost the mystery of the economy of both humans. You could say it negatively, like I selfishly want him to do this so that he's a better worker. Okay. And, okay. But that's not what I mean.
I got an analogy. Okay. I got to go in. So we talk about where you're wearing is it a Garmin?
A Garmin. Yeah.
So we're both wearing Garmin, where you're also wearing an Oura ring to mm-hmm. track your sleep. So these wearable devices. So we wake up in the morning and, we can look and see how we slept. Literally a sleep score, not what it shows you how long, but it should, your sleep score was, 89%. Pretty good. Your body battery is, 85 or 45 or, mm-hmm. or what's the lowest you've ever woken up?
Somewhere in the 50s.
Okay. I told you before our hike.
Oh yeah.
It's 33. Yeah. Woke up with a 30.
Let's go hike a 14er.
The day that we had, anyways. Okay. So you are working with me as a patient. So as a medical doctor in functional medicine, you're working with me as a patient to, in essence, get my biomarkers up, right? From my cholesterol to my,
all your blood pressure to your sleep score.
Thank you. To my sleep score. That's your job. Okay. How interesting would it be for me to come in? And let's talk about Dr. Lee Warren, brain surgeon. And he walks through the door to do my brain surgery. We say, wait, let's check his stats.
Yeah. I would pick on him for that.
And the dude woke up at a 33 and his cholesterol's through the roof and he's going to do brain surgery on me. Let's put him back in, get me a different one.
Dude, go take a nap.
Can you imagine getting up with your spouse, or let's say our kids, you come into your kid's room to have them do the chores. Hey dad, what's your scores today? Yeah, they're not that good. Don't talk to them. Go take care of yourself. Or literally, did you renew yourself, Dad? Have you renewed yourself? Have you recreated? Have you do that before? And I this is again, bringing it back to how did this get to be a luxury?
Well, can I throw a layer of theology in there? Please. That I think we talked about this, Kevin, and you mentioned doctrine, that somehow, so I would say it out there, like even in a non-Christian perspective, if people just understand the history of America, there's this idea called the Puritan work ethic, right? Like we have this idea of, which is kind of like where you started, which today means just you get your job done first. The Puritan work ethic means you sacrifice fun, time over here, not self-care, but you get your job done first. Like, and back then it was take care of the farm, right? Like, okay, right. That was 100 years ago and it's evolved to where we are today. But you're right. The doctrine doesn't line up, because I think when you go back to first principles of how God designed us, and if we go to the story in Genesis, the rhythm and the flow, the first thing that Adam did in his relationship with God was not name a few thousand animals. Mm-hmm. He was built by God. And then the rhythm of the text says, and there was evening and morning the first day. So my proposal in this theological musing is the very first thing Adam did was rest, was hang around the campfire with God.
I was going to say commune.
Commune with God and sleep. He Sabbathed first, and then out of his restoration and rebuilding and recreation and renewal, he then produced whatever he produced, name the animals and go, whatever, farm the farm. And just from day one, I think then, here we are with, in a fallen world, sinful construct where our first thing is even our first child, one of the first words they learn is me or something like that. And it is self-oriented. I want to let me do it. And it begins. And we're so proud of them when they can feed themselves and these other kind of things. And we start the Puritan work ethic of idolizing performance and grades, and you get an A and you run faster, jump higher, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we don't, or it's so hard for us to teach. And then in my own, construct of what Sabbath meant was you have to go to church and then you have to come home and you keep your church clothes on until after lunch. And then dad tells you to be quiet because he watches football and falls asleep on the couch. And that's what Sabbath means. And of course, that's not what it means at all. It's with, and then I've heard some people say, yeah, God rested because he was tired. And I think he delighted in what he had done, and he communed with the creation, not because he was tired, but because the delight is a part of this restoration and recreation, or the word delight. When was the last time you delighted in something? And you and I, we get to delight pretty often.
We do.
In a mountain bike or in sitting on the deck or our view of the mountains. And thank God.
We talked about some of this morning over at the park, you and Todd and I, about the concept of literally Jesus, the character of Jesus in the Bible, and the verse. I don't know if you remember where it is, where he kind of was like with the disciples. I'm going to paraphrase it, going, okay, we got to get away.
What are the? Yeah. I thought you were going to the 4 pillars. Yeah, we got to get away.
We got to get away. The crowd is pressing in.
Yep.
We've been
Jesus,
preaching and
we're going to go over there.
And go over there. And that in today's construct, we said, no, you got limited time. There's a whole
right, dude.
world.
There's 300 people here in line. They waited all day, Jesus.
We can't Zoom them. We can't fly you somewhere. We got to get to walking and
we can't
preaching
scale
and healing.
Jesus.
and he's going, no, we got to get away. And then we've got the other verses where he's accused of being a wine bibber, which he was at a meal that we would say. I mean, by the context of it, well, a lavish meal with wine. Wine is not a necessity. So he's enjoying a non-necessary. So maybe he had
somebody wasted perfume on him.
Yeah. And he had a nice blackened goat steak, and he's enjoying life. And you think, well, how do you have time for that? You got to save the world.
Yeah.
And here, and when I say that, I think, so I'm more important than Jesus. Kevin Miller, I don't have time to have a nice meal, to go away. Did he ever kick the ball around or whatever they had back then, the goat sack or something, and laugh? It's like I wish we could see it. I got it on top of my shelf, and it's I can't remember the artist's name, but it's called Laughing Jesus with Wine. And he's just got his head back and he's laughing. And that's not the sullen, sad, weak looking Jesus.
Yeah, but my dad calls it Laughing Jesus with Coffee.
That's fair. That's fair. The artist calls it wine, but it actually looks more like a coffee mug. Either way. Yeah. Where did we come up? Yeah.
Okay. What is the only command that begins with a different word? In the Exodus list of 10 commandments, and it, English wise, it would be thou shalt not or whatever. But there's one command that begins differently. And even the thou shalt, King James, love the Lord thy God, is the word remember. Remember the Sabbath. And now let me take you back to the rewords. If you, because I have fun with etymology, Kevin.
I dig it. Yeah,
so good. Remember is a reword. So if you lost a member of your body, to remember your arm would be to put your arm back on there. And medically speaking, there are people who they get bonked on the head and they'll forget they have the left arm and it just hangs. And they'll go, oh, and they can intentionally move it. But if they, like you and I talk like this or whatever, because our brain remembers our left arm, but if it gets lost, even though I can intentionally move the thing, and so they literally forget they have a left arm. Well, okay. Or if it gets chopped off, you can remember it. And that would mean put it back together. Well, in the brain, if you don't sleep, you won't remember anything. The actual physiology of sleeping and the weird dreams and whatever, and that's your brain kind of saying, hey, let's try this thought this way. And it's like, that one didn't work. Let's forget that one. And then you wake up the next morning and then you can remember what you can remember. But and everybody knows, if you lose a night or 2 or 3 of sleep, you are ineffective at nearly almost anything. And on night 4 or 5, you're crazy, and 6 or 7, you're dead. Like, just sleep. Well, what is sleep? It is and what is remembering the Sabbath? It is what you started off saying is, Kevin, you're not all that. You cannot take the world on your shoulders. You cannot be perfect dad. You cannot be whatever. So God doesn't say, hey, I'm going to put another command on
Buckle
you.
down.
Yeah. Not a, hey, get some rest so that you can work really hard next week. It is remind yourself. Another word is recognize. Recognize means rethink it, cognate, recognize. Come just hang out with me. Come walk in the woods with me. Sure, maybe it's church. Sure, maybe it's journal. Sure, maybe it's whatever, but it's also mountain biking. It's also jumping on the trampoline. It's also maybe a little bit of discipline of remember that verse. Let's just think with it together. It's all of these things.
Okay, you got me thinking about this because right now you've been working on an essay and doing stuff. But let's say you've been, we've talked about writing books and stuff. Knowing you, if you said you're going to write a book, and you're trying to slog it out, get up early in the morning and slog out the book or whatever. And let's say I'm just having problems. I'm struggling with the, format or whatever. Instead of me saying, well, dude, you need to wake up earlier. We need to shut everything out. So you just focus. And again, that buckle down. Sometimes there's a place for that. But in my analogy here of if you were trying to write a book, I would be more prone to go, how can we get you away?
Yeah.
Let's get you away into a cabin on a mountain where you can ski, not have any interruptions, not have any duties. Don't buckle down. Do the opposite. Unbuckle, literally unbuckle for a few days. I guarantee, because I've seen this. I know this. You would remember the essence of what you want to do and why, and you would come back and we wouldn't really need to do, there's no buckling down needed.
No, I would recreate. The thoughts,
the
process. I would recognize, remind, and renew my mind in a fashion over here that is going to dramatically increase the chances of doing the project. And you and I would also say, holy cow, husband out there, man out there that is, you're whatever the words are, you're on Friday night, you're at your wit's end, those kind of things. Unbuckle, which does not mean hook your brain up to the TV. Can you get away to XYZ in the variations on that theme are infinite, where you sabbatical with God, with even nature. Whole lot of medical studies we could point to there that just being in nature does something in the mind along this pathway.
I want to let's go ahead and hit on that because we do tend to talk almost exclusively about physical endeavors in this light because that's our economy. What?
One of the things I would like to say is I really do have fun reading. And so in the non-physical that you have not even yet seen where my desk is and the new window. And I did. It was just being finished. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's fun, but it's not physical. Is that where you were going?
Kind of that, or if somebody has, gardening, well, that's kind of physical, or art, or
games.
Yeah. Or, that it could be something.
Hobbies.
Yeah. I want to include those. And yet I also do want to say, I think there's something to the physical aspect and I don't know if that's fair to say just for men. Maybe it's just for everybody. There is something, but at least for men, I can speak to that because I am one. So I can't speak to the others, but I think there's a reason that we tend towards those things where you and I, especially in a communal standpoint, we're not going to sit together
do the
and
adventure
read
together.
And even if we're going to do art, I don't know. And a lot of times we're not.
You and I have never sat there and read a book together.
No, we haven't. I guess we could try that. That'd be new. But we do. There is something. I mean, you should know that. I mean, maybe from a medical standpoint, the kinetic aspect to go out and to fish together, hike together, to be on the river together. For one, maybe it's one of the best ways to have shared context. Okay, so we could theoretically have that though. If you and I went to we've done that before. We went to who's the ski guy, Herman Miller or something like that.
Yeah.
Does the ski
videos.
films. And we went down and we saw his film, and they had a, kind of a convention thing set up, and we had an experience together. We went out to eat and had wine.
Yeah.
So we had context together. That's even that. It wasn't out on a mountain, but it was going out and doing something that wasn't just spectating. We've gone to different seminars together. So it is that. It just feels like one of the best ways to have shared context and to break down the walls is a literal physical endeavor, whether it's sports or hunting, fishing, climbing, skiing, whatever. There is something unique about that.
John and I working on downstairs.
Construction stuff.
Yeah. If you
building something,
I was going to say
something.
Yeah.
Recreate.
If you were kind of selfish in that you didn't invite me to help you build your treehouse.
That's fair.
Or building a treehouse with your kids. That kind of togetherness there was work, but fun.
It's actually the best thing about it was building it, because after I did it, they don't spend a whole lot of time.
I was going to say, yeah.
My youngest one does, but the ones who built it, they were.
It was just like a big Lego set.
Yeah.
You're like, guys, we built it. You're supposed to go play with that thing. Now we're done.
now it's built. But there is something. I mean, if we're talking about men, now somebody's going to hear this, and physicality has never been a part of their lives, so do you need to go try that? Maybe you could, but you could. There's
a
other
chess
things.
club.
Sure.
Or even a book club. You might read separately, but you come together and talk about things.
Okay, let's talk about the reality of, I think most people will hear this, most guys will hear this, and it will resonate to them. And there's going to be, half the audience is women. They're going to hear this, and we're talking about men. I think that this relates to women, probably in some different ways and different nuances. And I'm not hitting that because we aren't women and we didn't invite a woman to speak on this with us right now. But you can take that for yourselves. And if you are involved with a male, this is in relation to them. I'm going to take it though for the guys specifically who are hearing this. It does resonate. They do hear it. The light went on. They got a paradigm shift. They're going, gosh, it makes sense. That's not a luxury. This is a necessity. I'm going to be a better husband. I'm going to be a better partner, business owner, employee, father, whatever, if I do this. Okay, I got the idea. How do I do that? How do I do that? And let's hit the hard one, which is sometimes with a spouse or significant other that may find this like, oh, you're just going to go off and have fun and play. So real quick, I want to say, if you find yourself in that position, one of the best ways to hit it, take this concept and do it for your spouse. Honey, I know you will be a better wife and mother if you go away with your sister or go away with some girls and have fun, or go on your own. Can we make that a priority? That this is, I selfishly want you to go away and enjoy yourself. What does recreate look like to you, hon? I would say that too. Have the conversation, because if you just go, because my tendency would be to do for my wife like I would do for me. Hey, honey, I got you a cabin in the woods.
Force you. I'm going to drive you out here and drop you off.
I got you a cabin in the woods all by yourself for 4 days.
This is what I would love.
And she would go, oh, that sounds like hell.
Yeah.
That's not her thing. Give her a girlfriend to go with, or a group of women to do. She wants to be in a social aspect. What a great discussion.
Yeah.
What is recreating? And unfortunately, a lot of us, all of us, don't know. Maybe that's step one. What does it recreate to you? Because what is recreate to me is not going to be for, I don't even know if yours and mine aren't the same. The activities aren't the same. You went and skied. I'm not going to go. That's not recreate. That's hard. The things maybe, but even are you alone? Are you with other people? Is it at an event? Is it I don't know. What does it, for you? Even the hobby type stuff. I do woodworking stuff. That's a joyful thing that I think would be just a chore for somebody else, but in the way that I do it. But what does it look like? We're back to what another recharges. What recharges? Yeah. What recharges my wife dramatically different than what recharges me. I mean, you enjoy history.
Yeah.
You get recharged by reading or watching history. Yeah. I'm not joining you in that.
Yeah.
Not my gig. There's a place to start. And if this is an issue with your significant other, that would be a place to gift them with this, to say, look, I heard these guys talking and it makes sense. Share it with them. Maybe share this with them. Say, what would recharging, how can I support that? and no bones about it. I'm hoping for some reciprocity. I want to do this too.
You just said another reward, reciprocity.
I did.
Another one is resonate. What resonates with you?
Yeah.
And you see why I landed on the reward thing, that concept of this. And as people are thinking about this, there's going to be, well, you got to try some things and maybe say, that history conference that we went to wasn't all that for me. Maybe next time we're going to do this. And this is now just the experience of life. I want to be a woodworking guy, but then when a project actually comes around and I got to get this and get that, and I don't have the equipment and I got to go buy it, I'm just like,
well, that's where I am with skiing. The effort that it would take me to get proficient to the point that I enjoy it to the level you do, right? I have not yet been willing to do. So, right. You could. I get it, but there is some trying. I think that if you, well, you got to
give yourself a shot.
Well, but you may not need to. You know the stuff that you have fun.
Well, by the time we're 50, I think a lot of people. Well, heck, I don't want to speak for everybody. There's a lot of people out there that maybe don't know because they've never actually engaged.
I'm testifying that it is. I mean, it's very. I think it testifies to the people that I have on the bookshelves behind me that have had on the show. One of the reasons they're there is because they have figured this out and they invest in this recreation of themselves. Once in a while, though, I'll find somebody and folks, if you've been listening for long, you've heard of, and somebody say, "Gosh, I struggle in that area." Mm-hmm. That's a hard one for me, especially if they do enjoy their work, which is great. Mm-hmm. But even for them, I'd say I think you will be even a better
worker.
Version if you find something that you invest in. And the people that I am flat out the most inspired by, no bones about it, are ones that have a very rich life. I was going to say life of recreation, but a very rich recreating. They recreate themselves. They inspire themselves. They fill themselves up. And I look at that now, man, it is not a luxury to them. I think more of them would say, I am in the position, I have achieved the place that I am because of my investment. No different than if money, I got to this place because I did save. I'm not saving now because I have so much. I got to that level because I say we're playing with the analogies. But
and I think we're back into a while ago. There's a mystery here. Right, like it's the mystery of economy and compound interest, and Jesus says it's better to give than receive. Well, that's selfish. If I give you a gift, I'm only doing that because it's going to make me feel better than if I actually get one from you. Well, then I'm going to refuse to let you give me something so that I could give you something. And it's like, well, I
selfishly would rather give you something and get the credit for it than to have you give me something. And if you do give me something, my first thought is, oh heck, I'm going to give him something.
Now I get it. Yeah. Which is so. Okay, stop that. Right? Like but the mystery on this other side of investment into self is not selfish care, it's self-care. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to love others as we love ourselves, so many of us are unaware of what self-love in a wise, valuable way, what that is, that's why our world has a problem loving others.
And I mean, that was another big part of Connor's message is just our lack of emotional intelligence. Mm. We're not even going to be able to get into that in this show, but our lack of emotional intelligence.
This is a root. This lack of recreation breeds not emotional intelligence, but emotional unintelligence.
It took us a while. I'm not going to say that we do it perfectly, but I think there's a long time in our relationship where we still didn't share the feel. It wasn't until some things got acute and you couldn't really, you couldn't hide them. Right. I couldn't hide. I was enmeshed enough in your life that I can't hide the fact. I'm right on the other side of the door and I'm freaking out. Right. I can't hide it. So apparently I got to deal with this emotions crap because you're seeing it. I just can't. We're going to sit on the deck. I mean, we're going to do that now. We're going to finish this and we're going to go sit out on the deck. And it would be stupid for me to try to hide if I am super down or panicked or whatever. And I shouldn't hide jubilation. I mean, no different, but that getting into the emotions and how can I do that well if I am not aware of myself and allowing of myself? Real quick though, I don't want to forget on what you were just saying. I wrote down Solomon. Because it's one that we hear. If anybody's been in church, if you know the Bible, you've heard this. I'm going to say you haven't heard it because I've heard it. I preach it and I'm still struggling to really hear it, of Solomon. So if you go in Ecclesiastes and read, so this is Solomon, the wisest biblically, the wisest man, the wealthiest man. Who's the wealthiest person now? Gates or Zucker or Musk or something like that. So he's that, and he's the wisest person. Okay. So that's how he's depicted. And he goes through in Ecclesiastes saying, I tried everything. I tried nothing but work, nothing but being a tool. And then I tried nothing but pleasure. And I tried this and I tried that. He says, it was all vanity. It was all vanity. And he comes back over and over to the best thing. And he says it to man. So it's sexist. Sorry about that. But let's say a human. The best thing is for a human to just enjoy their work and enjoy their day. That's the paraphrase, literally, to enjoy that, which he said, enjoy your work. He didn't say not to work. He said he did the pleasure, and that didn't fulfill either, just pleasure and just work, but both. But he said at the end of the day, that's what he learned after his long life of experiencing, let's say, literally everything available to him at that time. He says to enjoy the work and enjoy their day. I just grapple with that continually of that's what he came to.
I think we always will grapple with that because you are now honing in on, the basic principles or the essence of life, which is never going to be totally figured out. And then through Ecclesiastes, the phrase also under the sun versus beyond the sun. Are you doing this in a human power or with a God power in mind?
Right.
And all of the complex ways of thinking through theology because we started off saying that I'm so grateful I do get to enjoy my work. And some other poor soul is over here saying, well, I hate my work. Mm-hmm. Does he just have to flip his mind around and choose to enjoy his hateful job? I don't know. We're going to grapple. And
well, we said enjoy a bunch of times there. And I do, looking at Connor's book, it brought me back to that in all, we would say that in all give thanks and have gratitude. But really, our job is to figure out how to have joy. I don't want to be your friend if you don't have joy. I just don't. Yeah. People, we both do. I know people who have no joy in their life. Right. I don't want to, and because they have no influence in my life.
Yeah.
They just really don't. I don't really trust them. I should be listening to myself. So if I want you to trust me, you should see some joy, some inspiration, some light in me. And if I have succumbed to just say, no, man, I'm just a mule. I just take care of things. And again, there's cycles in life. And sometimes God bless whoever's listening. If you're in a crappy place right now and you're doing whatever it takes to take care of people and it's hell, got it.
Yeah,
don't stay there. I hope you can get out of that. Please feel convicted that it's your job to get out of that. But overall, that is what I don't think that, again, we're not talking about a luxury. We're saying to have joy. What does that take? And I think back to you said, I like you said the spices, whatever spice that is for you, if it's pepper or cayenne or sugar or whatever, that if we don't have some of that, that's kind of back to where I started. If we don't have some, what are we doing for? Right. And what is my doctrine? Then I'm saying by proxy, I believe I have put my faith, my confidence in believing that my job is just to be a tool. Which again, we can get into religious stuff. I think that there is some religious overtones of saying, yeah, that's what you do. And you're just waiting for some eternal goodness. At some point, the lights are going to go off. Jesus
yelled the loudest at the biggest tools of the Pharisees.
The Pharisees who, just a life of penance and whatever. And you're waiting and then you're going to die. And then you get to go sit on a cloud and play a harp and sing songs for 1,000 years. Gag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please give me a mountain to run. Give me some wine, and I'd love a challenge and some of the joys of
adventure
coming over that. Yeah, make me an angel that protects somebody. Do something. Can I do something?
Yeah.
Well, we're getting deep. Man, that's what I wanted to do. Yeah, we didn't get too much into the emotions. We're an hour in there, but that's I'm just going to take it. This is what we came to. I thought we'd start off here and go somewhere else, but this question of my takeaway is the re. What does re mean? What is the re?
All the re words. I guess I don't know what the etymological, how do we re-say the word re, but again.
Build again, to create again, to come back to again.
And there is a rhythm. Mm-hmm. There is a cycle. You never get to figure it out and then stay there. You still have to sleep and remember and do the cycle. And that's where I think the emotion that I feel right now is a sense of contentment in the tension. Mm-hmm. So thank you.
Thank you. Friends, thank you for joining us on this journey to elevate our own experience and improve the way we show up for others. Our catalyst again for this talk on manhood is Connor Beaton, author of Men's Work, a practical guide to face your darkness in self-sabotage and find freedom. That's the black book over my shoulder here if you're watching YouTube. He's also host of the podcast ManTalks. You can find him on Instagram and probably other social media at ManTalks as well. Randy, Dr. Randy James, medical doctor, functional medicine expert, and my dear friend. You can find him at truelifemedicine.com. I literally just met somebody out in the parking lot of our offices here who's a listener from Arkansas, flew into Denver, drove down in a rental car just to see him and look for a new lease on life as she just turned 50 and she's got some things that are not holding up like they used to. And so she came here to dig in, get to the root because she wants to be spry and vital for as long as she possibly can. So if you want to check him out and do the same, truelifemedicine.com. And if you come, you can do like she did and let me know. We'll grab a cup of coffee. If you appreciate this podcast and want to share it with others, please rate the show on Spotify. Leave us a rating and review on Apple would be a great gift. And you can subscribe on YouTube to watch the full episodes of any of these shows that we're posting. You can find me at kevinmiller.co or kevinmillerco on any of the social media. We're putting a lot of clips up these days. You can see little highlight reels of a lot of the shows that we're doing. See if you want to dive into a full show or not. If you want to learn how to master your own inner drive, get my book, What Drives You. You can find it on Amazon, get it in any form that you want to. And until next time, friends, stay driven.